Thank you very much. Anywho, you know that Lawrence Fishburne off of The Matrix, yes? You know Lawrence Fishburne? I wonder what it would be like if Lawrence Fishburne was white and he reviewed TV. Over to Charlie Brooker to find out.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks. Yes, now, what have I done? I've made a little film in 2 parts about the election coverage, but rather than tell you about it, I'd prefer to show it to you, frankly, so here is part 1. Cue me.
Hello, viewer. Sorry for the cheap set. It's a recession. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the news has been a bit political lately.
It all began on the 6th of April as super popular Brown, played here by a haunted elephant, left Downing Street to pay the traditional Parliament-dissolving visit to Her Majesty the Lady King.
Each gripping second was expertly captured by the BBC Thrillcopter as the PM's car wound its way through the London streets, guided along by a sat-nav system apparently voiced by Hugh Edwards.
Travelling north on Whitehall, that's the entrance there to Horse Guards Parade, and up towards Trafalgar Square.
Now the election was off, or rather on, which meant the news folk could crack out their whizzy title sequences and even whizzier technology.
Newsnight got livened up as Milfy Mateless showed off the world's biggest iPad.
While Jeremy Vine hopped around a magic electro Britain like Fred Tolbert off an old episode of This Morning, doing a weather forecast live from the movie Tron.
Of course, the outcome of any election depends on the will of the people, although the news preferred to focus on notional people because they were slightly easier to nail down. Consequently, we heard about all manner of bullshitty made-up target folk, like Lambrini Lady, a busy mum with a whore's silhouette and what sounded like a burgeoning drink problem.
Friday night when my children in bed and cracking open a couple of Lambrinis with my friends. It's fantastic.
There was also Motorway Man, an imaginary friend dreamt up by demographic geeks. He apparently lives near the M1 or M6 and doesn't seem to know what the f*** he's doing with his life. Newsnight got so excited at the prospect of Motorway Man, it forced one of its hacks to deliver a series of punishingly dull reports from a motorway service station situated somewhere racy.
Where we've based ourselves in the East Midlands is smack dab in the middle of prime swing country.
Yeah, well, I don't know what prime swing country is. Maybe that means there's lots of great dogging sites off that motorway. Not that you'd want to go exploring them with the cheery staff detailed working at the services. Jesus. Then there was the other huge demographic, the great undecided, as profiled in eerie fashion on ITN.
To help these gawping f***s make up their minds, stunt news hunk Mark Austin spent some awkward quality time with all 3 leaders, eventually collating an in-depth televisual dossier profiling each man's unique vision.
Thus we learned that some people call David Cameron David, while others call him Dave.
What are your best friends called? Dave. Yeah. So Dave.
Not to be outdone by ITV's profile of the leaders, Adam Bolton livened up Sky's coverage by revealing which leader most people wanted to f***.
49% of women say that they would like to have an affair with David Cameron.
What are you going to do next? Bring their wives into it?
As for the men's fancies amongst the leaders' wives, Samantha Cameron is top of that. The wife men would most like to have an affair with, 52%.
Sky then briefly turned their attention to Nick Clegg, who they apparently considered so inconsequential they sent a child to interview him.
Are you nervous about tonight's TV debate?
I'm a little bit, yeah.
As the news media descended on Granada Studios, Alistair Stewart outlined his hosting strategy for that first debate to an excited Sky News.
The best analogy that I've come up with so far is a kind of conductor of an orchestra. And some of the greatest conductors you see very little of. They're almost self-effacing.
No, he certainly pulled that off. I don't know about you, but when I watched it, I hardly knew he was there.
David Cameron. Mr. Brown. Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg.
To grade the leaders' skill, the news got roomfuls of gorgeous pouting members of the public to sit with their fingers on magic opinion registering widgets, and as doe-eyed Clegg gazed them right in the kisser, their approval worm wriggled and writhed with delight.
Clegg certainly won over plenty of undecided voters. The trouble is, some were so undecided they couldn't even decide how to finish a sentence.
If you came into power, would you abolish the
Look at that dithery man, dithering like a failure. We'll see the second part of that film later. Now it's time for another discussion with our very own David Mitchell.